It's Saudi Arabia, Jeddah Corniche race week. Let's go from having absolutely zero race weeks because of winter break to having another race week back to back, and it's starting on a Saturday that many people do not know. I got it. It still throws me off that it starts on a Saturday and not on a Sunday. But that means that race day is even closer. The street circuit in Jeddah is also very beneficial to us viewers because, in terms of corner characteristics and the smoothness of the asphalt, it's completely different to Bahrain. So, by the end of this race, we will understand each car's strengths and weaknesses way better than last Bahrain, and we'll know more on where the official rankings, because it could change. Freaking Williams could be the first for all we know. I'm just joking. But it will be interesting to see how different it will be to Bahrain. But other than that, I do not have that much hopes with this being the most entertaining race of them all, because last year it was not the most entertaining. It was kind of boring. The only reason it was interesting was because Charles had an engine penalty. Max had a problem with his car. But that literally was the only interesting thing about this race. This year it could be kind of an exciting race, because there could be a fight for pole positions at least. Last year even Perez got pole position when Max got that engine problem, and this year now Ferrari seems to have taken a step forward from last year. So now, especially this track should suit Ferrari because of now Ferrari is really good on high speed corners. So there will be a fight for pole. Either way, Red Bull and Ferrari in qualifying will be around equal. But who knows? Maybe this year is different because a lot of teams have taken a step forward, so we might see more different fights. Like 2023, they were all over the place. But this year it seems that Ferrari have gotten their mind together, where it's not an unstable car, so it's not differing between different tracks. And also they've got really good at high speed corners, where last year it was not good in high speed corners. So it looks like this track suits Ferrari, but of course Red Bull will inevitably be ahead of Ferrari and every single car. But how much? That's the case, especially in quali, because in quali, in my opinion, Ferrari have a good chance to be taking pole position, particularly Charles. So we know that Ferrari has a good qualifying car, and this year they might have a good race car, but still, Red Bull is miles clear. But we don't know how miles clear, because Charles had a brake issue, a huge brake issue, where his car had 100 degrees of temperature brake imbalance. That was crazy, and a lot of journalists just say, "Oh, it's just overheating." Sainz had the same problem when he did not. So let's just clear the air in this video. Charles had an incredibly huge problem, as is the case in Bahrain for him for some reason. But as long as we don't have an engine penalty like last year for the second race, we should be fine for Ferrari fans. But anyway, my top three will be Lando. I'm saying this is my only will he be in the top three or not? Because in Bahrain, Lando should definitely have been in the top three with the timings he had. The car was fast enough for a top three, but he definitely bottled that. So I'm Lando hasn't had a really good run in qualifying, where he's had cars that should be top three, but then he just gets track limits, or he just screws up. So he hasn't really proven to be the best qualifier. So, but still, McLaren and Ferrari both are taking a step up in Bahrain because it suits their car more. So, and Lando Norris has said it in his own interviews this week, and Lando Norris usually downplays like their McLaren's performance every single time, so should be good this time. So Lando Norris P3 is what I expect from McLaren, but we shall see. You know whether or not he can not bottle and get that P3. And now we get into the top two. Person who I think will get second will be either Max and Charles, and I'm going to have to give it to Max because on the basis that Ferrari suits this track more than it does Bahrain, and in Bahrain Charles had the fastest time on circuit, but he just he bottled P1. He could have gotten P1, but got P2. Although you could say it's a little bit more Ferrari's fault than Charles' fault, but whatever the case, he did bottle it. So the fact that they were faster in qualifying against the Red Bull in Bahrain, and Ferrari did not suit that track, but it suits this track even more, is the case where I think this time Charles will get his pole. Increases pole to win ratio. We love to see that. Even though a lot of people like to make fun of his pole to win ratio and think that's a bad thing, I've never once seen it as a bad thing. And for me, that pole to win ratio just emphasizes how great a qualifier Charles is, because on Monaco 2021 and France 22, out of his 2 poles of his 23 pole positions, it's not been his fault that he's lost. It's either his car has not been good in race, or the strategy errors, or engine failures, So I see it as he's just really good at qualifying and putting some cars in places where it should not have been. So if he puts this car in pole position, it's not a bad thing that another pole Max win, because his car is still not better than Max's in race, but at least he can put it on pole. Some other people cannot, even if they have a car that can put it on pole. So, but with Max, he's definitely taken a step up on street tracks. There was a time when he wasn't as comfortable as Perez in street tracks, where in 2023, Perez in the top 3, probably a little bit higher than Max, because for some reason, most of the street tracks, Perez was doing better in 2022 than Max. But 2023 came, and after Baku, Max was no more, Perez. You are not the street king. I'm the king of everything. You cannot be a king of anything. And just obliterated Perez, So Max has started to do way better in street tracks, or either that or Perez has just gone completely absent, which could also be, it's a bit of both in my opinion. Perez has also taken a very step down, where I don't even think he's gonna qualify top 3, which is surprising. It could be that the car has completely stopped suiting him, or just Perez is not confident in his driving abilities or something. But we shall see. Maybe he's back in form. He might prove my prediction wrong. But either way, Max will be the Red Bull that in P2, and Charles will be P1. I'm judging this off of 1, because Ferrari suits this track more, and 2, Charles has always done well in street tracks. He's also a guy who's really good in he prefers street tracks more than purpose-built racetracks, Did really good in Jeddah, when Jeddah was a bit unknown whether Ferrari was the second fastest in that race in 2023. This year, Ferrari have taken a step forward. He's way more comfortable in this car than last year. I think this is one of the tracks that he's going to do really well in and get that pole, and then increase his pole to win ratio of. Now let's talk about the race predictions of top 3. Top 3. The third place is really tricky for me, because, well, I'm just going to say that the 2 drivers I expect will either be Russell at 3rd or Hamilton at 3rd, because Hamilton really disappointed me last race, because it's not like he just lost the ability to qualify. It's just because his decisions his decisions in setting up the car makes me really hard to know where he would be placed for this race, because if he does not just does his weird like I'll compromise my qualify for the race, which is definitely does not work. If he does not do that, then Hamilton will be P3 in my opinion. But if he does do that, and he hasn't learned from his mistakes, then he will definitely not be P3, because again, like I've said in another video, that compromising your quality for race with these regulations does not work. When he was winning races in 2014 to 2021, it worked because of the spread of the qualifying, where it was like 10 seconds difference between first and 10th, where like if you compromise your quality for like 1 second for a race, you'll only lose like 1 or 2 positions. But this year, if you do that, you'll lose like many, like we saw it, like the Russell was P3 and Lewis Hamilton qualified P9, you know, and so you really lose a lot of positions. And the fact that Smiley after qualifying still believing that that was a good idea, it does not make me think that he learned from his mistakes, and does not work. And it even got proven last race, where Lewis Hamilton finished P7 and George Russell had P5. And even though Lewis Hamilton had faster race pace in Bahrain, and George Russell even had problems within his car, Russell still finished higher than Hamilton. It just does not work and qualify so low. I don't expect McLaren to have the best race pace, because they're still working on it. Their tire degradation is they're like where Ferrari was last year, where they're good in qualifying, but they're not that good in race pace. And Mercedes has faster race pace than McLaren. Well, anyway, top two. Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. You know, Max will win. Charles will come P2. So it's another Charles pole, Max win kind of race, you know, because, and I don't expect anything different in the race, because one, although Charles's car had huge problems, so we don't know the exact pace of him yet, because also it was told that he was losing 6/10 a lap because of his problem by like data experts. But we also know Max was cruising for the most of the race in Bahrain. Like he wasn't going his fastest speed. He was told to lay off like for like 30 laps, and he was not going his fastest pace. So even though that Charles might have a greater pace, Max also had greater pace. So I can't expect anything more than a 26-second gap. But it's still a race weekend, guys. We got F1 on the track. If you just ignore the first person, it probably will be a great weekend, even though Jeddah is still, street tracks are still, except for Las Vegas, in my opinion, still kind of boring. But we shall see how it goes. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and let me know what you would like to see next. Hit that like button, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next video.